She was dared to walk through her streets at 12 noon for 20 million naira on barefoot without looking back. It's a small thing you would think or say. It sounds simple, right? What would you do for 20 million naira when a mysterious stranger dares a young Nigerian girl to walk through her streets at midday? She accepts, thinking it's just a game. But what unfolds is far more terrifying than she ever imagined. A story filled with suspense, magic, and fear, with a shocking twist at the end that will leave you speechless. Watch until the end for the unforgettable lesson that is hidden in this gripping and interesting tale. Amara, a 21-year-old university student, was known for her confidence and boldness. In her bustling Lagos neighborhood, she was the queen of dares, always pushing limits to prove she was fearless. But that confidence had a price. One day, as she waited at the junction near her house for a keke, just before she could enter the tricycle, a tall, mysterious stranger approached her. He wore a crisp white agbada and carried a walking stick adorned with strange carvings. His eyes were piercing, almost as though they could see right through her. "Amara," he said, his voice deep and commanding. Amara was startled. "How do you know my name?" The man smiled faintly. "I know many things. You are a bold girl, aren't you? Always up for a challenge?" She hesitated but nodded. "What's it with you?" "I have a simple task for you," he said, lowering his voice. "Walk down your street tomorrow at exactly 12 noon, barefoot, and without saying a word or looking back. If you succeed, I'll reward you with 20 million naira. Amara scoffed. "Is this some kind of joke? Why would anyone pay me to walk on my own streets?" The man's face darkened. "It's no joke. The money is real, but so are the rules. Do not look back, no matter what you hear or see. If you fail..." He trailed off, his eyes locking onto hers. Amara felt a shiver run down her spine. "If I fail, what?" The man smiled again, this time with a chilling edge. "You will find out." Before she could respond, he handed her a small bundle of cash, 50,000 naira, as a down payment. When she looked up to question him, he was gone. That night, Amara couldn't sleep. The thought of 20 million naira consumed her. With that money, she could pay her tuition, move her family out of their cramped apartment, and even start her dream business. But the stranger's airy demeanor lingered in her mind. Her best friend, Dara, tried to dissuade her. "Amara, something about this doesn't feel right too. You've heard the stories about our streets where things happen at midday." "Those are just superstitions," Amara replied. "I'm not scared of some old wife's tale. This is my chance to change my life." The next day, the sun was blazing as Amara stood at the edge of her street, barefoot and nervous. The usually lively street was unevenly quiet. Her neighbors' windows were shut and not a single car passed. She was surprised. It was as if the world had paused. At exactly 12 noon, she took her first step. The ground beneath her feet felt unusually warm. The silence was deafening, broken only by the sound of her own heartbeats. She walked slowly, focusing on the end of the street. Then it began. "Amara," a voice called softly. She froze. It was her late mother's voice, sweet and familiar. Amara, my daughter, come back. Tears welled in her eyes, but she remembered the man's warning. She clenched her fists and kept walking. The voice grew louder, more desperate. Amara, don't leave me. The shadow around her began to shift, elongating into airy shapes. She caught a glimpse of a dark figure trailing her in a puddle's reflection. It had glowing red eyes and a crooked grin. Her chest tightened. She wanted to run, but her legs felt like they were sinking into the ground. The air grew thick and the smell of burning filled her nostrils. Amara, look back. A chorus of voices screamed, echoing through the streets. She bit her lip and quickened her pace. But then she heard the laughter, a deep, guttural sound that made her blood run cold. By the time she reached the end of the street, she had collapsed. The stranger was waiting for her, his expression unreadable. "Well done," he said, "but greed always comes at a cost." Before she could ask what he meant, her surroundings began to blur. The ground opened beneath her, and she felt herself falling into darkness. Amara woke up in her bed, gasping for air. Her heart was racing, and her body was drenched in sweat. She looked around, confused. Was it all a dream? Her phone rang. It was Dara. "Amara, where have you been? Did you take the dare?" Her heart skipped a beat. She looked down and saw the bundle of cash from the stranger sitting on her desk. But when she touched it, it crumbled to ash. She was shocked. Was she still dreaming, or is this real? This looked magical. Her feet still ached, and when she looked at them, faint burn marks remained. Amara burst into tears. The dream, or whatever it was, had felt so real. The terror she experienced lingered in her mind, but so did the lesson. The turning point. From that day forward, Amara changed. She no longer sought quick riches or reckless thrills. She became more cautious, valuing her life and the safety of her choices over material gain. Whenever someone asked her why she had become so reserved, she would only say, "Not every opportunity is worth the price, and not every risk is worth the reward." And as for the streets at midday, Amara never walked it again. Moral lesson. The story of Amara reminds us that greed can cloud judgment, leading us down dangerous paths. Sometimes the things we desire most comes at a price too high to pay. It's a warning to think twice before accepting what seems too good to be true, and to value our life over wealth.